Hey, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the Danger Zone case. So first things first, we have the sawed-off black sand. It's just your standard camo skin. There's literally nothing special about it. It's just a camo skin. Personally, I don't like camos, so it's going straight in the D tier, where I believe it belongs. Then next up, we have the Nova wood-fired. And I haven't actually seen this one in game before. This is interesting. So it's just basically a wooden Nova with a metal barrel, because you kind of need a metal barrel. It just doesn't make sense with a wooden one. And then some like black kind of fire of the original stock kind of coming over it, which is kind of unique, kind of interesting way to think. And then the rest of the skin almost looks kind of scorched, like the wood looks like a little bit burnt or whatever, which is kind of unique, but nothing crazy. But I think it looks kind of nice, and you can't really go wrong using this one. So for me, it's a solid C tier. And next up, we have the MP9 Modest Threat, which is one of those like HD skins, kind of almost futuristic looking skin here, and it's just like orange. It's like an orange futuristic looking MP9, which is kind of clean. I definitely have like no problems with this one. I just don't think it's too great personally. But it's definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very solid skin, and it belongs in C tier. Next up, we have the SG553 Danger Close. And I think this is supposed to be working with the Danger Zone case kind of design, it almost looks like. It's a very faded skin for some reason, to the point where it almost just starts looking like stock, even where there's a design. Like over here, it just looks like it's half stock already. And the part that isn't stock is just like an orangish red. I don't really see why the skin needs to exist. I think you might as well just use stock if you can use this. It already is like 90% stock anyway. And the fade's like a cool idea, but I think the execution didn't work as well as the idea kind of was in their head. Then we have the Glock 18 Oxide Blaze, which is like a rusted Glock with a white like fire coming off. It's solid, and it has a crosshair right there. I'm not really sure what that means. I think that's the bomb code. And yeah, I mean it's a solid skin, very basic design, very nice design though. I'd say you can't really go too wrong with it, especially with how cheap they tend to be. So it's a solid B tier for me. That's very simple but good design. Then we have the Tech 9 Fubar, which is 90% like a camo skin, and then for some reason it has this like marble fade at the front. I think if the whole skin was marble fade, it would look fucking phenomenal. But for some reason, they made most of this a camo skin, although I do have to admit the mag looks kind of clean. Um, yeah, it's just weird how they did that. Although in-game, you'll see a lot more of this than you will the rest of this, so I guess it works okay. But also if you look like that, you'll see like the insides of the rings here are also green and whatever. I don't know. I don't know who designed this, but I guess it was supposed to be like a mashup between marble fade and an army camo. I don't know. I think marble fade would look dope. But with an army camo, I really can't justify putting this above D tier. I don't like the camo skins. Then next up, we have the M4A4 Magnesium, and this is just a cleaner Oxide Blaze. So with the Oxide Blaze, it was like a rusted skin with a white fire. I don't know why they have stickers on this, kind of annoying. Um, but on this one, it's like a metallic kind of look, and it's a very clean metallic look. That on its own would be really great. Kind of reminds me of the Basilisk, except kind of cleaner. It's less like defined than the Basilisk, which I think looks really nice. It's like the Basilisk, and then it has this white flame coming off the middle, and if they didn't have this massive Nico sticker covering it, would have looked really clean. I actually might pick one of these up as my M4 skin. It's just a really clean looking skin. I really cannot give anything bad about this. I can only really give positives. It looks fucking phenomenal. And honestly, I think it's high A, if not S tier. It is a really good skin. I'm surprised I don't see it more often. Then next up, we have the G3 SG1 Scavenger, which is like kind of Fallout G3 SG. It does have a nice kind of wooden part in the middle here with a warning on it for some reason. I don't know what the warning has to do with kind of Fallout or whatever. Then it has some kind of branding like Fallout stuff and almost like a can wrapped around the scope, which kind of good attention to detail. I actually really like that idea. And it looks like something kind of thrown together in Fallout or whatever, or like, where someone had to do some kind of makeshift fixes because the factories and stuff aren't running in Fallout. It's very unique design, and I think it's mostly well done. I just don't know why there's like warning sign on the front and back of it. I think that takes away a lot from this skin. I think they committed and made just full wood or like mix like this can or whatever, and kind of kept the more bland color scheme. I think it actually would look a lot nicer, which I know is kind of contradicting myself because that's kind of why I say I don't like the camo skins, because I don't like how dull they are, or whatever. But I think in this case, especially with like the can already being there, the can is a really nice touch. I like that. I think it actually looks kind of clean. It looks like it's makeshift, and that's what it's going for. And it's kind of unique, unlike the camo skins. I think the main reason I don't like the camo skins is like 500 that look exactly like it. But yeah, it's a very, very cool skin. A lot of attention to detail. Clearly, a lot of love went into this. So it's definitely a high C tier for me. At least, if not higher. Then next up, we have the Mac 10 Pipe Down. And I think I had one of these for a little bit. It's supposed to try to be kind of like pipes on a skin, with like kind of an exhaust here or whatever. But because it's, a 2D design, despite this looking very 3D, like I can't I'm trying to look at this right now and make it 2D with my eyes, and I just literally can't. Um, it still is kind of, I mean, especially back here, this just looks straight up 3D. I can't picture that as 2D. But especially right here, I don't know what is about this, but it's kind of, I guess my mouse isn't showing for some reason. Let me see if I can fix that. There we go. Okay, especially this right here. Um, it kind of throws my eyes off, and obviously the word full here just kind of put over the 3D design. I think if somehow they made this look fully 3D, which they did for most of this, it's actually really impressive, kind of that they could make a 2D skin look as 3D as this looks. Like these pipes look like they're coming out of the fucking skin. But for some reason, the bottom of this throws me completely off and kind of ruins the illusion. Despite me, I'm looking directly at this, right? I'm trying to make this look 2D in my eyes, and I just can't. But despite that, having even part of the skin not work ruins the entire skin for me. So for me, I'm gonna have to put this in D tier, but this is still really cool. It's a very good like technical achievement. I think it looks really unique for sure. It looks really nice, but not really as nice as a play skin for me. I mean, if it had the full 3D effect, I probably would kind of like this. It'd be okay, maybe a C tier skin, but having that kind of ruined for me, I don't know. It doesn't work as well. Then we have the Galil AR Signal, um, which is interesting. Kind of just like red and blue mashed together on a skin. Very solid colors, but the design is kind of impossible to figure out. But it just looks solid. You can't really go too wrong with it. It's nothing crazy for sure. It's definitely to the lower end of C tier, but I really don't think you can go too wrong with this skin. Then we have the P250 Nevermoor, which is a very pattern-based skin. I actually had a version, I actually think I do, where the crow is kind of perched on like the curve right here, like looking forward to attack or whatever, which I think looks a lot cleaner than this pattern. But yeah, most of the patterns look something like this, where there's like some birds sometimes peeking out on just a very bland red or orange background. And for 99% of patterns, it really doesn't look that great. But if you find a nice pattern for this skin, I think it can look alright. I actually really did like the one I have. The only reason I don't use it is because it's Stat Trek, and I just don't use Stat Trek skins. Um, yeah, for me, if you get a good pattern on this, it's easily a high B tier, possibly an A tier. But 90% of these skins are kind of low C at best. But honestly, I'd have to put this in D tier, despite liking the skin myself, and I like the good patterns. But most of the bad patterns are just really bad. Then we have the USPS Flashback, which yeah, it's got some interesting stuff on it. Born to clutch, press this, bang scratch, like a peace sign, get some, lock and load, sneaky beaky, a lot of references on here. But otherwise, it's just kind of like a very used USPS, like a better kind of camo skin. It's a lot more unique. And in the same reason that I like the G3 like Fallout looking skin, that's kind of why I think this one's a bit nicer. But for me, this definitely goes closer to those camo skins. It does look a lot more basic and kind of uninspired. So for me, it's still a D tier. I don't think I would ever use it, but I can see why people would like this one. It definitely has a lot more charm than your average camo skin. Then we have the MP5 SD phosphor, which is a just like kind of darker, more like a light dark blue, if that makes any sense. MP5 with some kind of paint splattered on it, almost like some paint just fell on it, which just looks nice. Very vibrant skin, very nice looking skin. Unfortunately, it's on a weapon that will never be used, but the skin itself looks pretty solid. Definitely solid C tier, if nothing else. And yeah. Then we have the UMP45 Momentum, which has arrows pointing forward and a very basic red and blue design. The main part of the weapon is a very light blue to the point where it gets literally white in the middle here, and the edges are like red, almost like it was just like kind of like a piece of glass. I don't know if anyone's ever seen glass being made, but it reminds me a lot of that, the way they did the lighting and coloring and whatever. And it's just a solid design. It's nothing crazy for sure, but it's just a very basic red and blue skin, kind of like the Galil AR Signal or whatever it was called, except these are more vibrant and it does actually have its own design to it, so I think it's a better looking skin than that. Then next up we have the Desert Eagle Mecha Industries. I basically have this and use this as a budget print stream. It's mostly white with some parts being black, and honestly, it looks mediocre at best. I think you kind of need a whiteout like effect where it looks like the print stream or the whiteout, where it's like almost like 95% white for it to look good white. Otherwise, it just kind of, I don't know. The white and black normally supposed to be colors that go together well, but I personally don't like them, especially here where the black part is like HD super defined and then the white part's just very basic white. It almost looks like a plastic shell on top of a black deagle. I think to whoever made this should just committed and made it full black, because I think honestly, if this was full black, it would look really solid. But going like half and half like this, I just really don't like it as much. I do use this just kind of because it's budget, but I think it's kind of a mediocre design at best. So it's very low C tier. You can't go too wrong using this, but you definitely can't really go too right. I don't like a lot of what's being done here. Yeah, that's our last pink. Then we have the Op Neonora, which is interesting. It's like a girl laying down with her hand, almost a robotic arm actually, comforting what seems to be another girl. Has a very unique color scheme, kind of like blue, pink, white, and then obviously the parts of black kind of seeping through it. For the people that like the USPS Neonora, and this definitely fits a certain type of person. Um, this is definitely very well made. Like a lot of thought was clearly put into this. They colored literally everything, and it all goes together very well. Even the arm going perfectly into kind of the handle here. Um, but personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the Neonor stuff. I don't know why. I actually can't explain why I don't like this as much as most other people do. But just for the effort alone, like the solid color scheme, whatever, I really can't put this below a B tier. It's definitely one of the most like well-made skins, and for people that like this, they absolutely love it. So for those people, you have a really nice op skin on your hands. Then finally, we have the Op Asimov. Tries to capture the feeling of the AK Asimov, sorry, AK-47 Asimov. Tries to capture the feeling of the Op Asimov. That's kind of why I had that in my head. I think it kind of falls flat though. Has a lot, like I said, has a lot, like 50-50 black and white does not work. You need primarily white, kind of like the Op Asimov tends to have. And yeah. And then the kind of Asimov designs don't hit as hard on the AK here. I think the AK Asimov honestly is kind of a lower tier AK skin in my opinion. It just doesn't look that impressive to me. I'm not really sure why. Yet again, I'm not like a graphic designer, but I don't like it that much. To the point where it's probably below the whatever budget print stream Mech Industries, whatever you want to call it. I'd say it's definitely below that, and these are very close to being D tier skins. They're really not that good. But yeah, that's it for the Danger Zone case. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at these skins as much as I did, and I'll see you in the next one.